Hello, everybody, and welcome to Idea Validation and Market Research. So the first thing I did was break down my idea into many details on what's the aim of this idea and what's the goal. What do I want to achieve? So what do you want to achieve when you're actually thinking of this idea? What kind of problem are you solving? Break it down into details. Explain your business idea in detail. That's the first one. The second one is obviously we're going to be starting doing market research. So this is actually going to be putting down into actual ideas and actual action towards these kind of things. So the first one is us knowing what's the aim of this and what's the benefit of this service or product, and listing out the important features and advantages that we have to offer this product or service to these kind of people, and figuring out what's the aim and what's the wants of your product or your business. And then obviously knowing your basic facts about your market research. If you don't know, you can go to my previous videos, but obviously like where do they live, how much money do they make, what do they do, and those kind of things. So basic market research, you gotta know our people and understand where and who they are. And if you're new here, you could obviously go to my previous episodes to actually get to know this, because I talked about this so many times that I don't think you guys will be enjoying me talking about this. But I obviously went to Notion. I did my usual thing on knowing where do they live, what do they do, how much money do they earn, what's the target of my thing, like what am I targeting, what kind of specific age range am I targeting. And number 3 goes so beautifully with this, because obviously you're going to identify what's the market problem and you got to have an idea of it. So if so many of the businesses like you and your competitors in business like you have the same type of issue of need of money or need of regulation and law, going to be in a similar position, but you gotta always keep that in mind. And specifically when you're starting it, because when you're starting it, you don't have barriers. You can shift your business. It doesn't matter if it is a product or a service. So that's the thing that I was really researching about on my business. What's the market issue? And obviously you got to do your market research, look at business like you. What kind of problems are they facing? What are their enemies? It doesn't not enemies by other businesses. What are the things inside their business that are eating them up? If that's money, if that's other things, is that customers? So you got to obviously do your market research and competitor research. And then you gotta find out there's a way competitor and what's the nearest competitor to you. And that basically explains what is the closest person to you, and that could actually start rippling and copying your idea or your methods or the way you do your business, and what's the furthest away kind of business that could copy you. So you're obviously gonna know your farthest away competitor and your nearest competitor. And that's basically competitor analysis and competitor research. What's are good about them and what's not, and what are they lacking and what are they doing good at. And that could help you, because obviously when you're coming new to a market, you got to know what are they doing good at, and would that help you, and would that help you with the things that they're not doing good, and you can come and swoop in. And that is number 3. And number 4, the last, and it is about market research, is obviously understanding your target customer. You gotta know them like a book. Whatever type of thing that you really like to do, you gotta know them. Because if you're actually really ambitious and you really know you want to do this kind of business, you gotta know your customers, because they are the base of everything. When you are creating a feature, if it is a feature in your product or in your service, you gotta know, would they like it? So you basically gotta put yourself in their shoes. And you obviously gotta know, where do they live? How much money do they make? What things are they interested in? And what kind of informations and things that they're doing. And obviously you can talk to them. You can be in groups with them. You could take interviews with them. And you can do surveys to get real-time information. Because information is the best thing. But when you have information and you don't know what to do with it, it's basically useless. Because obviously you need action with this type of thing. And specifically when you're doing your market research, you gotta know who you're going to be serving. And obviously if you're starting a business, not for the money, but actually to solve a problem, you're honestly going to be so interested in your customers. But at the same time, you gotta not always be focused on your customer. There should be a balance, which is the thing that we're trying to do. And obviously, there is the back end work. So we're going to be focusing so much more on the back end work. So this is just a light overview, validating your idea in market research. Because you can go so in deep with market research and validating your idea. So many people have done this, and you can listen to so much great podcasters that have talked about this, but this is an overview of what I have done and what I'm doing to my business. And obviously, if you have any question, you can put them in the comments, or if you're listening this in the Spotify, give me an email, or there's a survey probably that you can come and show down. So this is going to be something you're going to be hearing about if you're going to be listening to me, but we're going to have our normal episodes talking about marketing and anything of that sort, and you're going to hear everything about this business. And next episode, which is probably going to be something to do with the back end tools that I'm using and going to be using for the long run.